judicial practices, or it's undermining your own kind of business, for example. So what we are trying to do now, we've called for meetings, we've called for consultations, we've called for discussions among providers and
providers. They have a major responsibility to enrollees for the overall well-being of the nation.
We need to care for the enrollees. We need to attend to listen to them patiently and attentively, to show empathy, to show concern, even where they have financial issues. For example, if there are areas where people still co-pay, where they still have to take something from the pocket to subsidize, we have to educate them on why it can ever be like that. For example, the 10% co-payment they need to pay in pharmacies to obtain their drugs. We have to educate them on why that is being done, is to prevent abuse of the scheme, so that no Tom, Dick, and Harry will just come. And then to have to let them know that even though you are under health insurance, we still allow this co-payment in order to regulate what is happening beyond abuse. So some of our duties we do, some of us have set up something like enlightenment or educational unit in our practices where people come. So we have what you call public relation units, where people are sat down, you are welcome, you are given water to drink to calm down your tension. We educate you, we open space for you to ask questions on where you are not clear. I also want to have feedback from them. We create suggestion box, we create website, we create the WhatsApp, we create other social media. They can feed us back.
That was Dr. Adeye of HCPAN speaking on what healthcare providers add to the NHIS and particularly to enrollees. Coming up next, your question answered.
Where do I register? How can I get enrolled? Where do I register?
How can I get enrolled?
How can I get enrolled?
Question: do pensioners contribute to NHIS?
The pensioners and the elderly are a very important aspect of our population that we are interested in. NHIS is developing programs to capture the pensioners. Many of them are already enrolled under NHIS, like the pensioners for the military, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force are already on board. The police are currently being enrolled. Some of them are already accessing care. The ones for DSS too are already also being enrolled. They are already enrolled. Some are accessing care. Some are still being enrolled.
Where do I register? How can I get enrolled? Where do I register?
How can I get enrolled?
How can I get enrolled?
This is where we draw the curtains on this episode of the program. If you have questions or comments, please send them through any of our contact mediums on your screen. Join us again, same time, same station on another episode as we continue to bring you more stories of happenings around the NHIS. See you next week.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
This is the network service of the NTA.
From north to south and east to west, life in Nigeria has become unbearable. The country is faced with what seems to be endless waves of homegrown security threats and violence. Nigerians live in fear, from terrorism to kidnappings, armed banditry, farmer-herder clashes, ethnic violence, and separatist agitation. To better understand the causes of the unrest, as well as the true agitations of the people, Searchlight travels across Nigeria.
The bandits, I use the dark place, the forest place, to hang around When our drivers reach there, they will come out and start shooting them.
In fact, if I can give an estimate, I can say that in a week we used to treat not less than five gunshots.
Look, people and people living under siege.
Now, Owerri is too hot.
No rest of mind. To see for anybody.
If you sleep now, sleep with one eye closed, one eye open. Be vigilant. This is Igbora for you.
Igbora is one of the 7 communities that make up Ibarakwa land. Ibarakwa land comprises of Igongon, Erua, Ayete, Takpa, Idere, Lanlate, and Igbora in Oyo State, Nigeria's southwest region. There is a long-standing history dating back to the early 20th century between settler herders who are mostly of Fulani descent and local farmers in the Ibarakwa axis. Recently, however, coexistence has become increasingly problematic as the communities are now plagued with kidnappings, farmer herder clashes, reprisal attacks leading to the forceful ejection of Sarakins and Fulanis in the area.
I have been back home here in Igbora since January because of the armed herders and farmers crisis that has been rocking nearby villages and farms. Although the Sarakin Fulani of Ngongo, Salihu, was evicted in January on accusations that he was helping evade justice, not much has changed. There are still incidences of kidnappings and attacks on farmlands.
This is Shekere village in Igbora. We live in fear. I do come earlier in the day and could enter the farm. You would find their cattle eating crops, and when confronted, they attack the owners of the farm. If perchance they meet a woman unaccompanied on the farm, she could be raped. There is no safety on farmlands.
The nomadic ones are moving around. The residential ones we know them. Some of the residential ones are still within the community. They are peaceful. One incident occurred when our people they are outraged and they burnt all the karas in the whole Ibarakwa land, even that of Erua. In the border here now, there's no kara again.
If you had burnt all the karas in the whole of Ibarakwa land, I want to think that kara is a place for residential Fulanis.
No, Kara is a spot, a market for them to come and buy and sell.
So you have burnt.
Do you know?
Their economic spots.
Let me tell you some things about that Kara. Some things we discover about that Kara, especially that of Igbora here. That spot is a spot where they do hide their ammunitions. And in the nights like this, they will pick up those ammunitions, go out, kidnaps, rob, anything they can do. And when they come back to town the following day.
Kabir, you've done a lot of work out of the Ibarakwa land. What did you see? What do you know? Can you share your first-hand experience?
Not just in Igbora, not just in Lanlate, not just in Oyo State, but from my experience across the southwest states, I realized that most of the killings, the kidnappings being perpetrated are being done by the Bororos, who are mostly referred to as foreigners. Some of these Bororos They come into the country through Benin Republic, some through Cameroon, and you get to realize that in the essence of it all, some through Niger, that many of them are not the traditional Fulanis. And the reason is this. We've had cases where traditional Fulanis, those who are Nigerians, some of them who are from Kwara State, also alleged that they have also been kidnapped. They've also been victims of the attacks of these persons. Most times, those that perpetrate this they don't even have any cattle. All they have is gun, sword, and other weapons.
The violence doesn't end there. Nigeria is faced with the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, armed separatist agitations in the southeast, amid communal clashes in the Middle Belt, southwest, and south-south. Increasingly, violence between herders and farming communities is spreading from Nigeria's central belt southward, while kidnappings are rife nationwide. What exactly led to this?
When you see a failure of this scale, of this magnitude, and spread right across the country, the first thing that comes to mind is that somebody somewhere who has responsibilities to secure Nigeria has failed in their duties. There are a lot of opportunistic criminal activities going on, and they are emerging and increasing by the day. The third one is the failure of the Nigerian elite to get together and demand that the Nigerian state does what it's supposed to do. The leadership does what they are supposed to do, that is to protect citizens. The voices that are supposed to be heard are not being heard. Too many people are quiet, either out of fear or because they think that they are not likely to make any impact if they don't raise their voices.
On our trip to Kaduna State, we drove along the Kaduna-Biningwari Road. The 123-kilometer road trip seemed easy enough, but we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. From Buruku village, right on the outskirts of Kaduna, there is a fully armored vehicle with soldiers who lead drivers 3 cars at a time from Buruku to Odoa town. This stretch is considered to be the most dangerous. Drivers have to wait their turn, as they stand no chance of traveling safely to and fro Biningwari without these escorts. From Odoa, the journey to Biningwari is considered safe from the kidnappers and terrorists, whose victims are not just travelers but also villagers and farmers in and around this long stretch of road.
Our major problem in this area is insecurity. These terrorists have wrecked our town and destroyed our source of livelihood. Nobody sleeps in this town anymore. We take refuge in the neighboring community and come here every day at 8 or 9 a.m. and then leave at 3 or 4 p.m. Look at me. I'm the village head of this community. I used to own a car, but these criminals made me sell it to pay ransom for our children. I can't estimate how much we have paid to bandits as ransom because this community has been attacked more than 25 times.
We have a lot of problems in terms of insecurity on our road, more especially in between Burku and Udawa. So we have a lot of insecurity. We have only one vehicle, which is mobile police. They are the one escorting our members to carry them to Burku. Let's say from January up to now, at least we lost more than 30 of our members as a result of the bandits.
Forests in Nigeria are now hideouts for cattle rustlers, highway robbers, kidnappers, and terrorists due to the absence of state capacity or political will to exercise control. From Biningwari Forest in Kaduna to Rugu Forest in Katsina and Zafe in Zamfara, These forests are now referred to as ungoverned.
Kaduna is very vast. The state is so huge. We had over 46,000 square kilometers. We are having this problem mostly in locations that are remote. Boundaries with Niger State, boundaries with Zamfara, boundaries with Katsina State. The locations are very remote. Even if there's a distress call, before you get there, it takes you time because of the terrain, mobility problem. But the Air Force is complementing the ground troops and the police as well. Once we receive a distress call from a location that is very far, what we do, the Air Force move while the ground troops and the police form a blocking force, and it is really yielding positive mark. There's a need for us to scale up recruitment. There's a need for security operatives or our security agencies to outnumber the criminals. In the first quarter of 2021, we were able to neutralize 64 bandits.
Our schools, just like our roads, have become hotspots of violence. Across northwestern Nigeria, from Zamfara to Kebbi, Kaduna and Niger, about 1,000 students of primary schools, secondary schools and even universities have been kidnapped since December 2020. Most have been released after payment of ransom, while scores are still being held in forest camps. Some of these students have died in captivity and some killed during the abductions. Earlier this year, after the kidnapping of students at Government Science College, Kagara, Niger State, I asked the governor, Malam Abubakar Sani Bello, if a state could guarantee the safety of school children.
No one can guarantee that unless we have the numbers, the manpower of security personnel required. The Niger State, for example, during the military administrations, Niger State had 14,000 policemen. Today we have 4,000. Same Rafi local government where this kidnapping took place, Kagara town itself has less than 10 policemen. So how will it work? How? What magic could you do? We don't employ or employ policemen. I understand in the past, the state police command had the powers to employ policemen from the states, but it is no longer like that. And that's probably the reason why we're having problems.
That was back in March. Not much has changed since. Many have said that the present centralized structure of the Nigerian police is too detached from local communities. A vote conducted by NOI polls indicates that many Nigerians are in favor of state policing to bring security closer to the people. Experts say there is a need to reflect on the current security approach across the country.
The various institutions need to sit back and, reflect that the current approaches that we are deploying to address security concerns, are they adequately addressing these issues? What are the intelligence mechanisms, that you need to put in place to really get information on how crime, is happening across various communities? So I think critically it is the model. It is the approach that seems to be a bit defective. We are practically waiting for violence to happen before we then react. We talk about community policing, especially for the police especially. I keep making reference to the police because they have the mandate when it comes to internal security. Community policing is very important. Then intelligence-led policing. We are not emphasizing that so much. Intelligence-led policing is that strategy through which you just want to get intelligence of what is happening in a certain community.
In the southeast, insecurity takes a different dimension. According to authorities, Agitators for the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, a separatist group campaigning for Biafra independence, have been responsible for a spate of attacks on security forces and innocent people since December 2020. Olu, a local government in Imo State, has become a flashpoint of trouble in the region. On the 25th of January 2021, many traders in a market in Olu were going about their business when gunmen invaded the area, killing some and setting shops ablaze.
It is very, very unfortunate that this kind of thing would happen in 21st century Olu, 21st century Imo, 21st century Nigeria. People are not happy.
We are here at the Islamic Central Mosque, Amafeke, and this is the third Friday without holding a Jumat service here because of insecurity issues. There is a lot of apprehension amongst the Muslim community.
This is my third year living in Olu, and I have never had any ugly experience living here until recently. During the NSAS protest, they burnt our mosque and killed some of our members in some part of Olu town. For 3 weeks now, we have been unable to observe our Jumat prayers in this mosque. We now live in fear. More worrisome is the absence of security operatives in the town. Despite all these incidents, the governor has not visited us to assure us or condole with us.
Since the January attack, Olu has had no peace. The people are in constant fear as these gunmen, time after time, unleash violence, destroy shops, kill, and even behead people in the community. In the southeast and south-south regions at large, dozens of security officials have been killed. Biafra agitation and the violence going on in the southeast have been said to be an untoward way of expressing dissatisfaction about leadership failure on the part of all tiers of government.
Well, I feel that there are many voices in the conversation to deal with the disaffection that people have about the Nigerian state. There are many voices, and evidently his is just one of those voices. But that may not be the optimal route to go. There are so many benefits of a functional, democratic, sound constitutional state. But where there are imperfections, you will now begin to see the voice that Nnamdi Kano echoes or propagates. War is terrible. Sometimes you think about it from a more glamorous point of view, but it's bloody, it's heinous, it's damaging, it destroys families, societies, and so on and so forth. So my preoccupation is for peace. Okay, peace arrived through legitimate constitutional routes. That is what is most paramount. No society can develop without peace. And in terms of the disaffection of those of us who are from the southeast goes, there's a need to hear us and to look at our grievances and to consider them on their merits.
The southeast substantially mirroring Boko Haram. We have not been able to understand and deal with the issue of IPOB. The Igbo leadership allowed IPOB and ESN too much ground to take too much ground to control what is going on in the southeast. So they misread the threat of organizations like IPOB. There was opportunism, crass opportunism. People thought maybe this IPOB will do for us what we want. They will get for the Igbo what the Igbo didn't get through the political process. And eventually now we are creating a monster. And it's a monster that is eating up the local environment, the same way Boko Haram ate up Borno and Yobe and parts of Adamawa. IPOB and ESN are eating up the southeast. The federal government is throwing the military at them, the same way they threw the military at Boko Haram, rather than trying to understand the real issue. What is behind IPOB? Who supports them? Why do they support them? What is the issue that has made IPOB attractive to a large number of young people? Can you do something about it? Is it something you need to do about it?
I would say that the Southeast governments can do a whole lot better. The state governments, they can do a whole lot better in delivering services to the various constituent parts of the Southeast. We don't see enough of government in our rural communities, in the local government. We need to raise the bar as per the effectiveness of subnational entities. All right. Once we've gotten to a point where we can say for certainty that the state governments are operating optimally and delivering their own share of the governance dividend, then we can look elsewhere to seek inputs. But state governments in the Southeast need to up their game.
The Nigerian police force, on whose shoulder the responsibility of protecting the nation lies, is unable to perform its basic functions, forcing the Nigerian military to step in.
A society gets the kind of police that it pays for. Over the years, successive administrations have not made the connection around policing and development. So they just see the police as, oh, that is the police, and not critically putting it in the position of primacy, because people need to be safe internally first. You need to take care of the internal enemy before you begin to look at those ones that are threatening you on the outside. So over the years, there's been consistent underfunding, which is very, very critical. You want to undertake police operation, it has to do with funds, it has to do with state-of-the-art technology, equipment, and all of that. And then the manpower, less than 400,000 police personnel currently police a country of over 200 million. So what it means is that there is inadequacy somewhere. The police right now is overstretched. The country is very big and diverse. And then if you look at the scale of insecurity that is happening, it changes rapidly. So what it means is that the security landscape is not constant. You understand? So the police is trying to really grapple with all of this in the midst of very meager resources in terms of training, in terms of equipment, in terms of manpower, and every other thing. Government's approach in trying to address some of these inadequacies by the police has been to set up committees, police reform committees. But the question again is that each of these successive government that comes in, set up a committee, do they make reference to the last committee to say, okay, what did my predecessor, found when he talk about policing challenges? How can I build upon that and actually implement this to make the police effective?
Though the carnage isn't over yet, in more recent times, the joint military effort of the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian Air Force has recorded more success in combating terrorists and criminals.
In the last few months, the synergy and jointness among the three services has been cordial and overwhelming, which has resulted in the decimation of most of the criminal elements we have in this country.
While Nigeria may or may not reform its police soon, critics say the new conception of security now places emphasis on human and non-military variables, saying even the best of soldiers and policemen may be unable to maintain security in a country with a whopping 33% unemployment rate. Nigeria cannot solve its insecurity problems in isolation of other developmental issues. Where we go from here depends on our ability as a people, a government, and a nation to make the urgent steps needed to pull our country, Nigeria, from the brink.
If you see somebody throwing trash outside his window,
flash him and tell him, guy, go and pick that thing, put it in your car. When you get home, you dispose it off properly. When you're at the airport, if you're supposed to be in a queue, please wait for your turn.
Your first place for being educated is the family. But if the family values, if those who are your father, your mother are thieves who steal what should be used to make society better, what values are they going to project to you?
Welcome to Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
Everything is architected and designed by the Almighty.
Someone who is a Christian is someone who lives a life of Jesus Christ. And the life of Jesus Christ is a life of sacrifice.
Yes.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Did you get to see the way Telebabadu pulls this? Don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, child, and issue. That is that is can do more with less people.
If we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of.
Congratulations, you were able to sign Timo Werner from RB Leipzig.
So you take water before your workout.
People have used their phone, using TikTok to do this like.
Hello there, it's time for Weekend File on the NTA and we are live in Abuja. Thanks for joining us. It is that time of the year when the rains are gradually winding up and we're soon ushering a new season from Harmattan to dry season. And with that comes the high expectation of harvest of food in abundance beyond the consumption need of the nation. Even with this peak of food abundance, the nation's food security is under threat. First, there is that initial wastage because there is no storage capacity to preserve many items and limited value chain to absorb the excesses of this peak period. This is made worse by the unwholesome activities of the middlemen who have been buying and holding these essential commodities for profiteering. In addressing this all-important national issue, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to rehabilitate the National Food Reserve Agency and also work with security agencies, the Nigeria Commodity Exchange, and the National Assembly to find a lasting solution to these disruptive and unpatriotic holding activities. Now, to further enhance food production in the country, the federal government is steadily rehabilitating dams and building new ones, and is also in the process of rehabilitating several river basin development authorities for irrigation purposes. All these are welcome developments in view of the fact that the agricultural sector remains key to the nation's economic diversification efforts and has been a consistent driver of the non-oil sector, contributing 22.35% and 22.98% to the overall gross domestic product, GDP, in the first and second quarters of 2021. The conversation continues tonight on Weekend File as we look at food situations and the efforts of the federal government to make food more available to Nigerians. Of course, we have situation reports from across the zones, and our guest is Oladotun Abiodun, Head Market Information System, Nigeria Commodity Exchange. I am Kenem Ima Abodike. Now on the news. Let's start on security matters, as all forms of violent crimes undermining national security and creating fear and anxiety among the citizenry will be eliminated within the ambit of the law. President Muhammadu Buhari gave this assurance in Kaduna at the passing out parade of cadets of 68 regular corps of the Nigerian Defense Academy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
Since establishment in 1964, the Nigerian Defense Academy remains unwavering in its commitment to the execution of its core mandate of training young Nigerians for the armed forces to effectively protect and defend the nation's territorial integrity. Consequently, for the 68 regular corps, 250 out of the nearly 500 cadets that were enrolled 5 years ago passed out of the military institution. They were, amongst others, certified to be of good character, academically sound, unquestionably loyal, and indeed courageous in the face of danger. President Muhammadu Buhari, who acknowledged the security threats bedeviling the nation, including insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and politically motivated killings, reassured Nigerians that nothing will be left to chance towards getting all the nefarious activities curtailed and completely rid of.
We have received new equipment in our fight against any form of insecurity from our friendly countries. These assets will be deployed to accelerate the fight against insecurity in all parts of the country. I assure you that this government will not be distracted from achieving the main thrust upon which we were elected.
He said a new landing ship tank has also been introduced to bolster the sea lift capability of the Nigerian Navy towards promoting maritime commerce, peace, and safety within the Gulf of Guinea. The president also promised to give vent to the much cherished values of fairness, equity, and justice to the people.
I must also emphasize here that for us to achieve peaceful, prosperous, and democratic country that will attract foreign investors, we must be law-abiding, committed, and promoters of peaceful coexistence. This is a collective responsibility which will definitely yield the Nigeria of our dreams.
While wishing the young officers great success in their chosen career, President Buhari believes that with the training acquired, they are now in good state to meet whatever lies ahead in the contemporary security environment described as uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The young graduating officers who distinguished themselves during the training session were given awards, with S.E. Koyaya carting home the Sword of Honor as the best all-round cadet.
Muhammad Buhari
and the young officers were formally commissioned and decorated with their new ranks of second lieutenant for the Army, sub-lieutenant for the Navy, and pilot officers for the Air Force.
Congratulations.
President Buhari also administered order of allegiance on the newly commissioned officers. With its motto, loyalty and valor, the Nigerian Defense Academy has so far graduated 20,880 officers, including nearly 500 from sister African countries. Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Theatre Commander Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa has inaugurated a special and general court-martial to try 158 personnel accused of committing various offences. Maimuna Garba has that report.
The Special and General Courts-Martial inaugurated are expected to sit in Maiduguri with 158 accused personnel whose case files are already before the courts, while another General Court-Martial 2 is filed for inauguration in Damaturu Sector 2 Operation Hadinkai. Out of the 158 accused personnel to be tried, 28 are officers while 130 are soldiers. According to the Theatre Commander Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa, court-martial trials are regimental and judicial exercise meant to sustain discipline in the military. The Theatre Commander said emphasis shall be laid on statute laws and traditional military regimentation with due adherence to fair hearing as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended.
It's not joyful for us to see our commanders, personnel, our generals being prosecuted. But because we have a duty, we are duty bound to do that. It is not easy for everybody that is in the theater has sacrificed so much to be here. So it is important for the courts to do the needful.
Major General Musa further implored the courts to diligently discharge their duties with strict guidance by the need to do justice to the accused persons. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Troops of Sector 5 of Exercise Golden Dawn deployed in Anambra State have eliminated 3 unknown gunmen who attacked a Nigerian police checkpoint along Okija-Onitsha Expressway. In a statement, the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu says troops overwhelmed the gunmen, forcing them to flee the scene. Brigadier General Onyema notes that a vehicle and 2 motorcycles were recovered from the scene, while a policeman paid the supreme sacrifice during the encounter. Meanwhile, Zamfara State Police Command says no military personnel was arrested for involvement in banditry, as reported in the social media. A statement by the Command Public Relations Officer Muhammad Shehu debunked the story, describing it as unfounded. The statement further warns against spreading fake and unsubstantiated information, stressing that any person or group found engaging in the unwholesome act will be made to face the full wrath of the law. Away from security matters now, to ensure accuracy of data in the ongoing evaluation of bitumen deposits in the country, the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency is improving the capacity of its technical staff on blowout and other hazards prevention in Ogun State. Joel Bobola reports that this is to ensure best practice and maximize the gains of bitumen value chain.
Nigeria Geological Service Agency is currently evaluating the bitumen potentials of the country. To ensure an efficient and reliable data of bitumen deposits, the agency is training its technical staff on global best practice in drilling to prevent blowouts and other hazards. The training is also geared towards ensuring sustenance of the momentum in the exploration of bitumen. Participants demonstrated their new skill in blowouts and other hazard prevention. Samples of bitumen were showcased as a confirmation of the successful exploration. The Director, Regional Geology Department, Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, said the training will improve bitumen exploration and ensure accurate data.
What we are doing today is actually enhancing the capacity of our drilling crew so that they will be able to drill in line with best practices. and ensure that the data, geoscientific data that is being generated will be sufficient enough to attract investments.
The output, the result of completion of the core process is going to be enhanced and robust more than what they have been doing before.
A total of 11 sites have so far been explored in Ogun State, with bitumen deposits in 8 of them. In Ijebu-Ode, Joel Pukbola, NTA News.
Now, Kano State government is curating a more conducive environment for prospective investors as part of measures to stimulate economic growth and job opportunities. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje stated this while conducting rounds of broadcast media executives at sites of mega projects in the state capital. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
This is not the first time special guests are being conducted around mega infrastructural development projects of the Ganduje administration in Kano State. It is not business as usual this time around. Instead of watching and admiring, delegates to the 75th General Assembly and Annual General Meeting of the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria (BON) were not only asking questions but making observations, comments, and suggestions.
We talked about the experts coming in and sharing the availability of spare parts. Are we thinking in future of getting them to assemble, knock down spare parts so that we can have funds, being assembled in this market? Is that a possibility?
Yes. That is why we are connecting them so that seeing is believing. If you tell them stories, they will talk about security in Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. But once you succeed in bringing them here and they've seen the market, I don't think that will be information to them.
Yes, sir.
They will click. If they want part of their industries to be built in Kano because of the market, you don't need to convince them.
Among the mega projects visited are the multi-billion naira integrated skills acquisition center, Kano Economic City, as well as completed and ongoing flyover projects, including the Muhammadu Buhari interchange, which is expected to be completed and inaugurated by the president next year. Also toured by the visiting broadcast media executives is the about to be completed ultra-modern Kano Cancer Treatment Center. Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
The Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF, is intervening in 5 states of Abia, Imo, Ondo, Ekiti, and Kaduna to permanently resolve grey areas arising from issues of the recently suspended resident doctor strike. The forum also plays support for research in priority medical fields at national and sub-national levels and strengthen commitments towards achieving control status of HIV in 2022 after presentation by Mark Giambruni. NGF also consented to the memorandum signed between the Ministry of Trade and Investment, Nigeria Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce to attract direct foreign investment on the ongoing 2020 Dubai Expo. This is the 34th teleconference and the 11th in series in 2021 under the new normal occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum, says the federal government remains determined to turning around the nation's fortunes through robust policies like the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. She stated this in a message to the 50th anniversary celebration of the Industrial Training Fund, ITF, in Jos. Ndeyang Adeyaba Giang reports.
Which 8th of October 1971, the ITF has initiated various programs that trained Nigerians with cutting-edge technical skills and develop human resource for the nation. The Minister of State, Industry, Trades and Investment representative says ITF is a dependable ally, contributing significantly to the development of the nation's economy.
Especially when weighed against the contributions of the ITF, the growth of the Nigerian economy.
Speaking on the theme, Changing the Poverty Narrative Through Skills, the Role of ITF, and the Imperative for Institutions Synergy, the Chief Executive Officer, Just Business School emphasized the need for a national policy on skills development.
Everybody's doing his own or his or her own skill development program. So we need a coordinating platform.
We expect is to put in more effort, bring in a lot of vision to bear in order to meet the expectations of Nigerians.
The skills and the skills acquisition that ITF is going to give in the next 100 years is phenomenal. You know, there are so many qualified people in the ITF.
As part of its corporate social responsibility, the organization presented cement towards assisting in rebuilding Enugu community devastated by recent violent attacks in Jos, Indenyan, and the Abuja. NTA News.
The National Youth Service Corps says it would apply sanctions on any errant coal-producing institution found to have compromised in order to serve as deterrent to others. Director General NYSC Brigadier General Shuaibu Ibrahim stated this at the opening of the 2021 Batch C pre-mobilization workshop in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports.
For some time now, the NYSC has been faced with challenges occasioned by the presentation of unqualified graduates for national service by some core-producing institutions.
This is without prejudice to the fact that the NYSC Act is clear on act of wrongdoing, and each person will be held accountable for his role.
And in this auditorium are those in charge of the entire mobilization processes, which begins from the submission of names of qualified graduates to the NYSC scheme. Although the scheme has been recording tremendous improvements in data integrity through a series of reform, the Corps wants all stakeholders in the mobilization process to live above board in the discharge of their responsibilities.
Few acts of commission and omission are still being noticed. We will therefore not hesitate to apply the necessary sanctions on any institutions and or officials to serve as deterrent to others.
The theme of the workshop is enhancing stakeholders' role for a credible mobilization process. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
The campaign to continuously give Nigeria a positive image globally is gaining more momentum. Guests at a public presentation of a book titled The Beauties of Nigeria say it aptly captures the nation in its brightest colors and the ideals that have sustained it. Kenneth Nanim reports.
The book Beauties of Nigeria is a compendium of success stories of Nigeria as a nation and as a people.
Nigerians have been breaking new grounds in every facet of life, either at home or in diaspora, making the country proud. Even in this hall, the order of Nigeria's national color is suggestive of this fact.
As you are all here, you are also representatives of the beauties of Nigeria.
A journalist, social analyst, and author, Bonaventure Philip Miller, however, captured these footprints with unique insight in his book, which reviewers say interprets the nation's attributes of strength and unity in diversity.
The book is also a wake-up call that these are areas, Nollywood, Nigerian football, music, art and culture, and all that. These are areas that government should also look at and invest more.
We have to realize that the development of our country squarely rests in us. We have areas where we have to bring in the private sector to assist in developing the capacities.
In a message, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and other guests challenged Nigerians on patriotic service to the fatherland, while the author pledged free copies to Nigeria foreign embassies, academic institutions, banks, and other relevant institutions. The Nigerian Copyrights Commission also pledged support to protect the intellectual property. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Dr. Osahon Enabulele on his election as the president of the World Medical Association. The president recognizes that at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic has challenged the world, a Nigerian has been elected to lead a very important body whose members around the globe deserve commendation for their life-saving roles and personal sacrifices to save humanity. President Buhari trusts that the past president of the Nigerian Medical Association and current president of Commonwealth Medical Association will bring his wealth of experience in the medical field and impressive leadership skills to his new position. The president wishes Dr. Enabulele, a chief consultant family physician, every success in the new assignment, assuring him of the federal government's unflinching support. You're watching Weekend File on the NTA. Remember, we are looking at food situations and the efforts of the federal government to make food readily available to the people. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break.
Yeah, what's on your bucket list? Would you like to travel the world? Live your best life? What if I told you you could blow right this minute and do everything on that list? Airtel is celebrating its anniversary and saying thank you to all loyal customers. You stand a chance to win up to 100 million naira with guaranteed cash tokens in the Airtel Recharge and Blow Anniversary promo. Plus 250 megabytes and 20 SMS free. How awesome is that? All you have to do is recharge to win. For more information, dial *444*4#. Everyone's a winner. So hurry now. The more you recharge, the more you win.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The federal government has commenced second phase of COVID-19 vaccination. If you are 18 years and above and unvaccinated, register at www.nphcda.vaccination.gov.ng. Visit the nearest vaccination site to receive AstraZeneca or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine as first dose. If you received your first dose of AstraZeneca vaccine before 8th July, get your second dose now. All COVID-19 vaccines are free and certified safe. At the vaccination site, you can check blood pressure and know your diabetes risk status. Children aged 0 to 23 months will receive childhood vaccines and screened for malnutrition. After vaccination, continue to adhere to COVID-19 prevention protocols. For more information, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng or call 0700-220-1122. This message is from the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
Sometimes before I step on stage, my mind gets clouded. But that's when I know it's time to take that deep, tum-tum cooling breath.
Give your kids winning energy. Milo Active Go. With the goodness of malts, milk, and cocoa, helps them make the most of every day. Milo, the energy to go further.
Wow Washing Win Millions promo. Millions of naira, daily prizes, and a million wow sachets are up for grabs. Buy wow now. Offer valid till 25th October 2021.
Each wow pack gets a lot of clothes clean and fresh. Wow. Washes a lot, saves a lot.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, invites all honorable ministers, head of the Civil Service of the Federation, federal permanent secretaries, and top government functionaries to a 2-day midterm ministerial review retreat to be presided over by His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The retreat is scheduled as follows. Date, Monday 11th to Tuesday 12th October 2021. Venue, State House Conference Center, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Time, 9 a.m. daily. The objectives of these midterm ministerial performance review retreat include the following. To report on the progress on the level of implementation of the ministerial mandates along the 9 priority areas of the administration. Review performance of ministries and identify key impediments to implementation of the ministerial mandates. Re-strategize on how to accelerate delivery of results given the current key economic situation. Accreditation of participants for the retreat will commence at the venue on Saturday, 9th and Sunday, 10th October 2021 at 4 p.m. each day. Attendance is mandatory and strictly by invitation. Announcer James Sule, Permanent Secretary, Cabinet Affairs Office, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Welcome back to Weekend File. With a vast arable land, Nigeria should take care of its nutritional needs, but still, import of some food items at high prices is a situation worsened by the activities of middlemen. President Muhammadu Buhari, in his broadcast to the nation on the 1st of October this year, expressed regrets on the sharp practices in the sector. In this report, Musa Babaliyu examines the steps the federal government is taking to address the situation.
The rains have started withdrawing in most parts of the country, creating an atmosphere for farmers to reap what they have sown. And markets like these are the first point of call for farmers, where they supply their produce for an exchange for cash. In a harvest time like this, prices of agricultural produce usually drop, as supply is always greater than demand. For the past 2 harvests, the prices of agricultural produce have remained high across the country. The recent figures released by the National Bureau of Statistics show that food inflation was as high as 21.83%. Factors responsible for this, according to merchants, are high demand and competition in purchasing, especially grains, and security challenges in some farming communities.
So that's why I'm always praying for this banditry to be over, so that people can go back to our large-scale farmers can go back to their farms, whereby a person can cultivate 30,000 metric tons.
While the security agencies are winning the war against insurgency and banditry, President Muhammadu Buhari has also directed key government agencies to find lasting solution to the disruptive and unpatriotic activities of middlemen and hoarders of food items.
As our food production capacity has increased, food prices have been going up due to artificial shortages created by middlemen who have been buying and hoarding these essential commodities for profiteering.
He also directed the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to work with the Nigerian Commodity Exchange and the National Assembly to rehabilitate the National Food Reserve Agency to boost food production and address artificial food shortages created by the middlemen.
To further enhance food production, we have completed several new dams and are in the process of rehabilitating several river basin development authorities to enhance groundwater supply for rain-fed agriculture, as well as surface water for irrigation agriculture.
It has been observed that agricultural sector remains key to the economic diversification efforts, as the sector has remained consistent driver of the non-oil sector, contributing 22.35% and 23.78% to the overall GDP in the first quarter and second quarter of 2021. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The availability of grains in Dawanau International Market in Kano and Maigatari in Jigawa State provide the food sufficiency the country requires. However, the influx of foreigners at the two markets poses shortage of grains, thereby affecting the supply chain to neighboring states. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
Nigeria is blessed with the availability of agricultural resources and have one of the largest grains markets in Africa, Dawanau International Market. However, sufficiency in food supply to other states is now minimal, owing to the fact that the 2021 harvest is yet to reach to Dawanau Market. Experts attributed this factor to influx of buyers.
Whenever I come here, whatever, if the price is comfortable with me, I buy it, and if it is not comfortable, I go to other states.
As a result of which we experience this influx of foreigners, particularly from neighboring countries. I'm talking of Niger, Cameroon, Chad, and including Benin, of course. So that also added to the pressure, already existing pressure domestically because of ban of importation of food. And now that our food is relatively cheaper in neighboring countries, then they come for it, and that added to the pressure on the demand. And of course, whenever there is pressure on demand of a particular product, the price will skyrocket.
And from Megatari Grains Market, Ibrahim Sani reports that the influx of traders from Niger Republic to purchase grains in exchange of beans with their Nigerian counterpart become a source of concern to stakeholders. For now, the market is yet to reach its peak of grain supply due to delay in the harvest being experienced in parts of the country, a situation contributing to fluctuation in pricing of the grains. The middlemen are now having bricks business between buyers and sellers from the two neighboring countries.
The quality of our homemade also made it so expensive.
Today is my first time, and coming here, I must say I'm not disappointed. Yes, because the type of rice we want to buy, the price they have been able to give us is cheaper.
Experts believe that Review of policies in import and export of goods, especially grains, will go a long way in cushioning the effect of food supply and improve the nation's economy. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
For some persons in the southeast, private sector investment is required to increase food production and not rely on government alone, bearing in mind the role of the government to provide incentives. Chinenwoye takes a look at the 2021 harvest in Enugu State and reasons for high cost of some food items.
Amaka Aneke is a trader in one of the markets in Enugu State. The recent rise in consumer prices are practically pushing her to outright distress. Restocking her shop for food items for sale has always been an issue.
Perishables right now are very costly due to one, transportation, fear of the unknown. There's people that used to travel, but now I don't think they are traveling.
Latest survey also shows prices of most food items spiraling out of the reach of consumers.
Many people have become so afraid of going into the farm. With this level of security challenges we're having in the country.
The holding of goods by middlemen is done when there is envisaged scarcity. But if food production is coming to market on daily basis, your holding makes no sense. At the end of the day, you lose.
There is, however, hope in Nigeria because Enugu State, just like other states in the country, witnessed a bountiful harvest this year, 2021. And this is attributed to a lot of factors.
And the harvest is good. This year, we had good rainfall. In most of our farms, we've not had issues of herders, farmers problem.
If you go and chop somebody's farm, you must pay for it. And if they kill your cow, the people will make sure that they pay the money of the cow. So for peace to reign. So we are peaceful in Enugu.
To further enhance food production, President Muhammadu Buhari, in his first October 2021 broadcast to mark Nigeria's 61st independence anniversary, said several new dams have been completed, while his administration is in the process of rehabilitating several river basin development authorities to enhance groundwater supply for rainfall agriculture. With all these measures put in place, it is hoped that agriculture, which has been a constant driver of the non-oil sector in Nigeria, will contribute higher to the percentage of the overall gross domestic product. In Enugu, Chinenwoye, NTA News.
And of course, we've been joined in the studio by Ola-Dotun Abiodun, Head, Market Information System, Nigeria Commodity Exchange. Welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you.
Good thing it is no longer rumor that we are now talking about the issues of middlemen in our food provision or production. In fact, it is even commendable that the presidency has noted that emphatically, and has also actually directed certain bodies, including the Nigerian Commodity Exchange, to go headlong and tackle that situation, because we cannot as a nation toil with food insecurity. Now, our question at this moment is that directive came as far back as Friday. What has happened so far? Have these concerned bodies hit the ground running in that regard?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good thing the president himself has identified the challenges we're facing as far as food security is concerned. At the Nigeria Commodity Exchange, we have actually started our own bits of the bargain. But importantly, we need to understand the reasons why these merchants are making a kill of the common masses of Nigeria. The reason is because the opportunity for the farmers to have access to a warehouse receipt system is not there. Or probably we can say that the farmers don't have the knowledge. There is information asymmetry. They don't have the knowledge that there is a warehouse receipt system that can be of help to them. How does this system work? It works by the fact that if a farmer produces his commodities, there is an accredited warehouse where the commodities received and quality parameters are determined, and a warehouse receipt is issued to the farmer. The warehouse receipt can be taken to a bank for bank facility. You see, the challenge of the farmer is he needs the cash almost immediately. And these middlemen, they have the cash to be able to buy and even shortchange the farmers. But when the farmers are aware that they can take this commodity to accredited warehouses, they can get a warehouse receipt, they can use the warehouse receipt to obtain bank facility, this problem is going to be solved. So, and whenever they now want to sell the commodity, they are afraid to sell the commodity, and the bank that has advanced the loan to them will recoup his investment, and the balance would be given to the farmer. You see, it's very important also for us to understand that government needs to really go a step further. If possible, let's have an executive order tied to the pronouncement of Mr. President on October 1, especially with regards to tackling these challenges that we're having in our hands, the food security challenges. Look at the food inflation figures released by NBS, National Bureau of Statistics. If you compare 2020 August figure to August 2021, you discover that in 2020, the figure is 16%, while in 2020 August is 20.3%. However, if you look at it from January to August of 2021, you discover that there has been a marginal decrease in the food inflation figures. And hopefully, with the new harvest that is around now, we expect that the food inflation figures would go down. So we are advocating, and we are also asking the relevant authorities to ensure, the National Assembly also inclusive, that an executive order is in place. An executive order is tied to the pronouncement of Mr. President, so that we can once and for all tackle this problem. The warehouse receipt system is going to help to be able to curb the excesses of these middlemen. With that in place, there will not be need for any farmer to sell to a middleman that is going to make a killing from whatever activity they are carrying out. So information is going to be made available to farmers. They will be aware of what the present commodity price is, because we have a robust market information system at the Nigerian Commodity Exchange, where we regularly, on a weekly basis, churn out prices of commodities. So farmer knows what the price is, so nobody is coming to cheat him.
All right. You just say that those information will be made available to these farmers that we're talking about. How soon?
Yeah, it's what we're doing presently. If you go to our website, www.ncs.com.ng, you'll find the prices, weekly prices of commodity, markets by markets. So when farmers are aware of this, and of course, we're still going to take it a step, a notch higher, by going to media houses, especially the radio stations, to be able to broadcast this information, so that the man that has a transistor radio right in the farm, in the bush, can have access to this information, because probably not everybody has access to the internet facility.
Media outreach you're talking
exactly.
about. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, we'll talk some more. Oladotun Abiodun, you're watching Weekend File on the NTA. Do stay with us. We are discussing food situations and, of course, federal government's efforts to make food readily and more available to the people. Stay with us.
Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senate Committee on Trade and Investment invites all relevant stakeholders and the general public to a one-day public hearing on the bills for an act to repeal the Copyright Act Cap C28 LFN and to reenact the Copyright Act 2021 for matters connected therewith 2021, 58.688 and 58.769. Date 12th October 2021. Time 12 noon prompt. Venue Conference Hall, room 231, second floor, New Senate Building. Host Distinguished Senator Francis A. Fadanhusi, OFR, Chairman, Senate Committee on Trade and Investment.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. See, finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly. Until one day, James discovered something big. He can finally say, our home, our football.
Get GoTV plus 1 month max
love it. Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Welcome back. Mile 12 Market, located in Ketu area of Lagos State, is the hub of wholesale and retail food businesses in Nigeria, as it supplies 80% of food consumed in the state. Imolayo Tokade Ogunfawara in this report takes a look at how the activities of middlemen affect the demand and supply of food items.
Mile 12 Market is one of the major hubs for food, man's most essential need in Lagos State. This is where families and businesses come in search of fresh and cheap food items. It is also a business haven for Joseph Dadan, a native of Plateau State, who, along with other wholesalers, imports truckloads of yam into the state for onward distribution and sales to consumers. While admitting that there is a spike in the price of yam and other food items, Joseph says the selling price is often impacted by hike in cost price, as most of the food items are either imported from neighboring countries or sourced from far-flung villages by middlemen who later pass them down to retail distributors.
From Kwara to this place, the transport is very, very costly. And revenue from roads, from each state, and from each local government, they always paid revenue.
And this time, Sokoto, you don't go. Nazaria on, don't bring up. Even the Zaria, they don't go. So now we go add money.
So a truck of tomato can spend more than 2 to 3 days on the road before coming here to Lagos. If I told you the loss that was inside the trucks, it cannot be identified.
Buyers who are at the receiving end of such hike in food commodities also accused middlemen of arbitrarily inflating the cost of food items in order to protect their own profit margin.
Yes, they're putting too much money. Some people that they have money, they'll go to a village and store it. Maybe they buy like 5,000, 2,000, they'll come and sell it 20,000 because we don't have money to buy and store them.
The problem we have now from the middlemen to have to what is happening, not only the government. You get me? But if they can come together, reason their own, then the government is asking the government to do the work. The government cannot do it alone. No?
The way out, according to experts, is to introduce and strengthen price control policies, while government is also expected to evolve measures to increase disposable incomes of Nigerians.
Everybody does whatever they like in the market. That's why the so-called middlemen are leveraging on the gap.
As the federal government sustains its numerous interventions in the agricultural sector, it is hoped that the distribution chain will also undergo necessary change for the benefits of intended beneficiaries. In Lagos, Imole Ayotokide Ogunfowora, NTA News.
Gombe is one of the states known for its supply of variety of farm produce to many parts of the country. In this report, Abbas Kano takes a look at this year's harvest and the affordability of the farm produce to the consumer.
Gombe State, situated in the northeast sub-region of the country, has 75% of its over 2 million hectares of land suitable for agricultural activities. Currently, there are over 900,000 hectares being cultivated across the 11 local government areas of the state. No wonder reports of 2021 crops production estimated thousands of tons of cereals and other types of crops to be harvested at the end of the season as provided by Gombe State Agricultural Development Program.
The harvesting is just commencing, but we scientifically have a way of calculating our projected production. And so if we go by that for this year, for millets, I can tell you categorically that we are expecting nothing less than 467,000 tons this year. Yes.
However, despite these projections of bumper harvest, the prices of the foodstuff that already arrived market are still high. Like in most northern states, prices of foodstuffs are usually higher in October as harvest period approach.
They go to the villages, especially during harvest, buys it at a giveaway price. And then at the end of the day, in short, transported it within a day, they may make double the amount. Now, they exploit the farmers that are in the villages, fix prices the way they want, not only in the agricultural sector, but actually all sectors.
A bag of maize now costs 22,000 naira, a bag of millet 16,000 naira, rice 41,000 naira, sorghum 21,000 naira, while cowpeas cost between 68 and 70,000 naira per bag. The prices are expected to come down at the end of the harvest period. In Gombe, Abbas Kano, NTA News.
Let's return to our guest on the program tonight, Oladatun Abiodun, Head Market Information System, Nigeria Commodity Exchange. Of course, we're discussing this all-important national issue. Everyone is indeed concerned about it because food is really important to the nation. In fact, in Nigeria, the agricultural sector has contributed immensely, to the nation's drive for non-oil revenue. But then one would also say maybe greed and corruption are part of these issues of economic sabotage to us. And that is why many people will also be happy to know that the National Assembly is part of the groups or bodies directed by the presidency to work out a solution to this entire matter. Where do we go from here? Are we looking at it from the point of law? Are we looking at it from the point of appealing to conscience, or are we just looking at it to do it as practically as ever?
Yeah, I think it's very important for us to have an executive order. Executive order that will give some kind of mandation for anybody that is going to buy some quantities of commodities. For example, if you talk of the staple commodities, the staple food, the maize, the sorghum, and all of that, let's have that executive order to stipulate that if you are buying in excess of 5 tons, buy it through the exchange. And if it is for export commodities like cocoa, cashew nut, sesame seed, if you are buying up to 1 ton and above, buy through the exchange. You see, the issue of profiteering will be cut off because the exchange is guided by rules and regulation. And you cannot just do as you wish. There is a mechanism for price discovery. The exchange thrives on price discovery, quite all right. But there's a mechanism for that. So if you are going outside a particular band, the system is going to flag you and necessary action will be taken. So if you have that, it's going to go a long way in helping us to tackle this issue. Apart from mandation, the issue of law, there's also the need for us to have incentives.
Okay.
Incentive is going to be a sweetener to encourage people to come. For example, you're an exporter, you want to export. There's an incentive for you to have export levy rebates. If you are aware of that, you know that patronizing the exchange is going to be of help to you. If you are an agro-processing company, excise duty rebate, you are going to have it if you source your raw material input through the exchange. It's going to help you. But this is going to be for a short while.
All right.
By the time the system stabilizes, we can take off these incentives.
We perfectly understand that. The sooner this information made available to those in question to happen. Now, let's look at this issue of rehabilitating the National Food Reserve Agency. That's another big one.
Yes. You know, the National Food Reserve Agency, they are saddled with the responsibility of strategic reserve. In case of food crisis like this, government intervenes to depress the price. However, there is need for transparency.
Okay.
The transparency can only happen on the exchange because the exchange thrives on transparency. When the issue of issuing LPOs to procure or purchase grains or food items to the strategic reserve has to stop. Let there be a rule that any procurement to the strategic reserve must be done on the exchange. And when government is intervening also by releasing this food item to the public to depress the price in situations like this, it must be done through the exchange too. We have a platform for that on the exchange. We call it Policy Auction Platform, which we will always activate to find solution to that.
Well, I should thank you, Oladotun Abiodun, Head Market Information System, Nigeria Commodity Exchange, for coming on Weekend File tonight. You've actually enlightened us on so many areas on this same matter, and we want to wish you and the other bodies luck as we fight this menace. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of course, you're watching the Weekend File. When we return, Ayo Dejimakinde will be here with sports updates and more. Stay with us.
Chief President, Engineer and Project Supervisor of the second Niger Bridge project. The second Niger Bridge project is a project that has been conceived for a very long time, but it has finally come to life during this present administration. This project has a lot of socio-economic benefits, and it has impacted positively on the lives of the host communities, both in Anambra State and Delta State. The people are very happy. The host communities, they partnered with us because apart from the social benefits, indigenes are also employed on this project. We can see how their lives are being improved.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Thanks for joining us and welcome to Sports Updates. Super Eagles intensify preparations in Douala, Cameroon ahead of their 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier with the Wild Beasts of Central African Republic. The players and officials touched down this afternoon from Lagos, where they had lost by a lone goal to Central African Republic. On Thursday, the team has since vowed to bounce back in matchday 4 encounter as Nigeria leads Group C with 6 points, followed by Cape Verde and Central African Republic on 4 points, and Liberia on 3 points. Away from football, after weeks of unresolved internal issues, delegates to the Extraordinary Congress of the Nigeria Basketball Federation have agreed to hold elective Congress on October 30 in Benin City, Edo State. The Extraordinary Congress held in Abuja Saturday, with 36 states and FCT in attendance, as enthusiasts of the slam and dunk sport await a free and fair electoral process in 3 weeks' time.
As a family, you are expected to lay a solid foundation for the game and ensure inclusiveness of all persons who love basketball so that the game can move forward in this country. Once again, I urge you to provide the enabling environment for the sport we all love to thrive without rancor and bitterness in Nigeria.
This is a time for us for greater responsibility and progress. We must come together in truth and discard the mistakes of the past. There cannot be no shortcut to success. We need to work hard at it. We are one family, and we should always promote the bonds that bind us.
Barely 48 hours after their inauguration by Youth and Sports Development Minister Sunday Dare, Karate Federation of Nigeria has rolled out blueprints that can get karatekas in the country competing at the highest levels again. President of the Federation, Silas Agara, told NTA Sports in Abuja after an inaugural meeting of the board. Plans to make karate attractive to the youth, aggregate outstanding talent in the country, and also drive sponsorship.
We want to see karate participate in Nuga next year, 2022, for the first time in the history of karate. Secondly, we want to improve on our ranking at the African level. Thirdly, we want to have a technical in-depth of our coaches, our referees, so that we can have more coaches more referees at the world level.
And that's your sports. Just a quick reminder that the trilogy between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder is in the next few hours in Las Vegas, USA. Back to Kene.
Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, that promises to be a big one later this day. Of course, let's now take a look at the weather situation for Sunday.
Hello, this is what we expect Sunday morning to look like. Over the north and central region of the country, cloudy skies with some peaks of sunshine are anticipated. However, there are prospects of thunderstorms to parts of Taraba and Benue states. The southern states are not left out, as parts of Ogun, Osun, Ondo, Edo, Enugu and Imo, as well as the stretch of the coast, are also expected to experience morning thunderstorms. Taking us further into the day, we expect most parts of the southern region, including parts of Kwara, Kogi, FCT, Kaduna, Plateau, extending to parts of Taraba and Adamawa, to also be active with thunderstorms. I am Theodora Itu. Thank you for watching.
That's Weekend File tonight. Thanks indeed for being part of it. And of course, NTA is against rape and rapists. Join us in that battle. I am Kenan Ima Abudike. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
If you see somebody throwing trash outside his window, flash him and tell him, guy, go and pick that thing, put it in your car. When you get home, you dispose it off properly. When you're at the airport, if you're supposed to be in a queue, please wait for your turn.
Your first place for being educated is the family. But if the family values, if those who are your father, your mother are thieves, who steal what should be used to make society better, what values are they going to project to you?
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
This is the
network service of the NTA.
COVID-19, that is the black swan of the century, has actually hit the whole world very hard, even the strongest of economies, and Nigeria was not spared. But due to the proactive stance and steps that the president has taken, we've been able to come out quickly. The president has consistently said we must invest in infrastructure, even as we're investing in human capital, that we must invest in infrastructure, because at the end of the day, that is what will bring about a sustainable economic growth. So the president has given us our directive. He has said you must make sure you pay salaries and pay pensions, but you also make sure that the critical projects of roads, railway, airports, bridges, major infrastructure that are meant to drive the growth of the economy, that we consistently invest in them, even if we have to continue to borrow to do so.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The League of Women Voters of Nigeria, NILOV, is an all-female NGO of women uplifting other women. NILOV, founded by Dr. Dame Esther Adwehi, is a non-political and non-partisan organization whose aim is to empower women economically and politically for a more perfect democracy. Some of our dedicated members passionate about the education of the girl child and empowerment of women include former Minister of Industries, Chief Mrs. Nike Akonde, first female MD, Bank of Industry, Ms. Evelyn Oputu, former two-time Minister and Ambassador Dr. Kema Chikwe, Hajia Ina Chiroma, former Ministers of Women's Affairs, Senator Stella Omu and Iyom Joseph Aneni, Senator Daisy Danjuma, former Permanent Secretary and Head of the Service, Ms. Ama Pepple. Let's join these distinguished women and others like Senator Biodun Olujimi, Senator Uche Ekonife, Right Honorable Felicia Bassi, Honorable Chinwe Mornu, Dr. Rosalind Okosu, Dr. Regina Omog Agege, and others. NILOV, women lifting other women. NILOV, together we can.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria will get an early feel of the nation's cup atmosphere when they take on Central African Republic in Cameroon. Will they come away with maximum points? Find out this Sunday in the return leg of the FIFA 2022 World Cup qualifier featuring the Super Eagles of Nigeria versus the Wild Beasts